Good day. My name is Brian. I will be chairing our meeting today. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. It may be used internally to review the meeting, including discussion and comments. As Corey mentioned, it is recorded both the chat as well as audio as well as visual. So use your healthy boundaries with your camera on or off, or what you do or do not put in the chat. We also have enabled live captioning services for our meeting. So if you benefit from closed captions, you can turn them on by going to your Zoom buttons. You may need to click more. Sometimes that's 3 dots. And then go to turn on closed captions. So I hereby call this IDEAS Advisory Council virtual meeting to order on March 26th, 2024 at 13:06. Our meetings are open to the public. Welcome, returning as well as first-time guests. We will do some introductions first of the co-chairs, and then the IDEAS Advisory Council voting members, and then one of our Department of Human Services staff. Guests, we invite you to introduce yourselves virtually in the chat, if you wish. So my name is Brian B. Like be who you are. I am an autistic artist advocate. I'm a voting member of the IDEAS Advisory Council, and I am your newly elected co-chair. Lindsay, would you come say hello?
Yes, my name is Lindsay Westmiller. Like Brian said, co-chair, voting member on the council. Work with the Area Agency on Aging. Got black hair, I've got a white sweater on today. And I'll pass it back to Brian to continue.
Thank you, Lindsay. And I'm going to call on voting members by name to come say hello. Let's start with Beth, please.
Hello, my name is Beth. I'm a voting member. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm a parent of a 9-year-old with multiple disabilities. And I'm in my living room on my couch. I have a lavender sweatshirt on and medium brown hair, mid 30s. Yes.
Thank you so much, Beth. A very thorough introduction. Made me realize I forgot a few parts. And Michelle, are you able to come say hello and introduce?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Dumais, and I'm a voting member. And I didn't hear what was the first part besides my introduction, or what I should have included in my introduction, because I had no sound.
And now you are coming through. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Your
My
pronouns,
visual description?
name, your
Perfect.
It's also,
affiliation,
it's on the slide as well, if you're
and your
Okay.
able to see that.
Perfect. The slide is up now on my side. Thank you. I can see it. So I am she, her, and I love this pronoun me. So yep, those are my pronouns. Visual description. Let's see. Today I'm wearing teal, and I have a men's tie that is teal, black, white, and navy blue, being accented by a butterfly pin. And I'm sitting in my home office, and I serve because of my kiddo, who's turning 17 in April. and she's a member of our IDD community. And I serve because I love her and this community.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. I serve because I love. Well done.
Yep.
Stephanie, would you like to come introduce and say hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Wonderful. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Gross. I'm off camera right now because I'm practicing safe driving, but I will be on camera shortly. I am the founder of Move Through Yoga, where we bring adaptive health and wellness programming to individuals with IDD. We bring programming to those who care for them. And the important part about that is recognizing that we're all in this together. And, you know, there's a movement to provide equal access and inclusive health and wellness opportunities for those with IDD. So we are on the forefront of being a change agent for that. I'm happy to be here as a voting council member, so thank you for having me.
Thank you. I do believe that completes our voting members, and an additional part of my description, middle-aged white guy in a beard in a Denver Broncos hoodie from a home office. Corey, would you come say hello?
Gladly. Hi, everyone. I am Corey Boyle. I am a white male presenting person with short stubble beard, dark square frame glasses, dark brown short hair, and a headset on over that with a red handkerchief, a red jacket, and a lighter red striped button up. I am the DHS staff liaison for the advisory council. This means that I serve as the secretary, and I help with facilitation, both in preparation for these meetings, but then also throughout the meetings. And so if anybody ever has any issues, questions, or concerns, you are welcome to reach out to me. With that being said, I am often the last person to introduce themselves, and then I will go into our meeting expectations. In each meeting, I like to ask that everybody please be respectful of everybody that is attending the meeting. Public guests, voting members, and everybody else, please ensure that whatever we do, say, and how we conduct ourselves in this meeting, please be respectful of everybody else. And that includes after meetings as well. As a general process, please mute yourself, raise your hand, and then unmute to speak, and then introduce yourself when you are speaking. I'd like to ask that today, as people unmute or call on others to speak, to give a few seconds after speaking to let that next person speak so that people have time to reach their unmute button and to process the information that was just said. Please stay on topic according to the agenda items. We do have a packed agenda as always, and it is very helpful if we stay to the topic at hand. Just a reminder that all meetings are public and recorded. This includes the chat. And so please don't put any personal information that you do not want publicly noted into the chat. So don't put your email, don't put your address, don't put anything else out there that you wouldn't want other people to see. All votes for voting members will happen in the chat. And so this is for council members. You will vote yes or no in the chat when we call a vote. Please remain safe during meetings. I know some of you might be on the road. While you're doing that, please abstain from voting. You don't need to vote while you're driving. But I would ask that if you are driving, if you do need to engage for any reason, to pull over and make sure you're safe before doing so, or hop off the meeting and then just rejoin after. And then as always, please make sure to have fun as you come on, as you talk with everybody else. Make sure to keep fun as part of your process. That's it for expectations. I do see a raised hand. Go ahead, Michaela.
Hi, thanks, Corey. This is Michaela Hennig speaking. I'm the IDEAS program manager. Great to see everyone. Just wanted to check in. Did we miss Kisley as one of our advisory council members and her introduction?
We did. So sorry, Kisley. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks. That's okay, everybody. I'm Kisley Blue. I am the program manager in the mill levy department at Rocky Mountain Human Services. I am a non-voting member and I'm a Black female. I am in my home office. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and it's really good to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you for that, Michaela. Again, I apologize. Sorry about that. So just to cover the agenda real quick, Brian, I'll turn it over to you right after this, but on today's agenda, just for everybody's awareness, we'll first, as always, review and approve our meeting minutes from February. We'll go to updates, then we're going to do some scheduling, and then we'll hear from our friends over at HRCP and at the Parks and Rec for some presentations on some services that they offer that are probably very interesting to us. And then we'll plan an in-person get-together before going to public comment and forecasting. Brian, take it away.
Thank you so much, Corey and Michaela and Kisley. Change my view here. All right, so we're at reviewing and approving the minutes. So can I get, I'll entertain a motion to approve our February 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion from a voting member?
Or did anybody have any changes or anything that needed to be modified to the February minutes?
Thank you, Lindsay. One more call. Any requests to modify? If not, then I will now entertain a motion to approve our February 2024 meeting minutes, the last time this council met. Do I have a motion?
Brian, this is Michelle. I'm going to motion that we approve our February minutes.
Thank you, Michelle.
This is Lindsay, I'll second.
Lindsay with a second. Would all voting members that are in favor of approving the minutes, please affirm that in the chat with a yes or no or abstain. If for some reason the chat is unavailable for you, you may unmute. Okay, the motion passes for the meeting minutes from last month. Unless Lindsay or Corey correct me otherwise, next we'll go to our community advisory member report out. Michelle, do you have a community advisory council report?
I do. Very nice and short and sweet. The three things that we worked on March the 19th. We had a CMA update, which is the, let's see, I always get the acronyms. I always struggle with them. The case management agency, we had a redesign, and so we got an update. And the high level point I want to bring away from from this update was that they realized that this was not an easy transition, and they realized that if they were to ever have to tackle this, they would definitely tackle it differently, and that there were some mistakes and some learnings, and so they are trying to handle a lot of the disconnects and the problems that our IDD community members have been experiencing, and that internally there's been a lot of discussion about how this could have been done differently and still how to ameliorate some of the difficulties. So I think the report out is that they do understand that this wasn't a seamless, a problemless transition, and so they're working on it. The other report out would be that behind the scenes, all of these organizations are looking for community members. And so during the meeting, we talked about, again, how to better publicize that the CAC is also looking for members, just as this committee is looking for more community involvement. So they have decided to create a flyer, and it's under review. It's begun its review process. And the CAC members gave some thoughts about some of the language around it, but that's ongoing, and hopefully in April we'll see the results of that work. And I'm not sure, Brian and Kisley, if you might remember, if you could help me with this other acronym for this last report out, which was CFDF.
Yes.
Kisley or Brian, do you remember?
Yeah, CFDF is Client Family Directed Funds.
Thank you so much. And so the discussion around the CFDF is basically how can this fund of funds, the mother of all funds, how can it be maintained sustainably? How can it be used? How can it continue to be harnessed for our community members? And so they've begun to look at how to maintain those funds and what sustainability needs to look like so that we can serve the greatest number of Denver City and County residents and support things as small as items that make everyday use for our community members a joy and not a hardship, to something as big as experiences. We have community members that like to travel, that need to do that in a supported manner, to home improvements. And so just looking at this breadth of spend, doing it in a way that serves the greatest number of community members, but also in a way that is sustainable. So they've just begun to look at that, and there should be some more report outs to come. So those are the three main things that I'd love to share, that I shared.
Thank you, Michelle. Other voting member council updates, current events, what's happening related to our advisory council or the Denver residents with intellectual developmental disability community. Other updates.
I have a few updates that I'd like to slide in. This is Corey speaking, sorry, but I'd like to go last.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna hold that space if that's okay. But if anybody else has updates, please go before me.
Thank you, Corey. This is Brian, and I have one, and that is, we heard earlier that Corey announced that there's a place for public comment at this meeting. That place has not been utilized very much, but it was utilized this year. And we are grateful for that public comment, and it was taken and digested and then said in a couple of different places. So thank you for those that either sign up for public comment or come in, even if they have not signed up. Any other council updates in the IDD community in Denver? We're doing great at allowing those pauses that Corey mentioned. I do have another update, and that is that I participate, as I put in the chat, I'm the self-advocacy coordinator over at the School of Medicine with JFK Partners. And I'm also an artist in the community. And as such, I get involved in, like many artists, I wear different hats. And one of them included a focus group, 2 different focus groups since this meeting met last, of greater metro residents connected to IDD. So it might be a parent or a sibling or a roommate, but residents that are having some connection with IDD and the greater metro area and housing met for 2 different focus groups. And the report out from that will be shared this summer. And I helped co-facilitate and moderate and recruit many different ones from our community. And so did Jordan, who's here, who works for Department of Human Services. So more about that in coming months. Any other updates?
This is Jordan. Brian, did you want to share a little bit about the survey that's still out for folks to respond to?
I do, but my capacity to do that is limited while I'm chairing.
No
Do you have
worries.
the ability to throw that in the chat and say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that in the chat. I just wanted to give you the space in case you had any input. But along with the focus groups, another piece of this work is a kind of a general survey for folks engaged in inclusive housing or housing for people with IDD to respond to. The survey kind of walks you through certain questions based on what you identify as being early on. So you might be a resident yourself, you might be a loved one of a resident with IDD, you could be a housing provider, and then certain questions will pull down based on that. The survey will be open until April 7th, and I'll put it in the chat. We're really just looking to figure out people's perspectives on this and what you think would be helpful, what's a big barrier to inclusive housing, and sort of those unique experiences that you all have within the community. So I'll get that in the chat, but thanks for the space.
Thank you, Jordan. So just a little more context. Denver Department of Human Services is paying for this community needs assessment, and they are hiring a third party to do it, a group called the Kelsey. So the Kelsey will gather our input, the various community constituents, and then give the report to Department of Human Services. Corey, please.
Thank you. This is Corey Boyle speaking. So a few updates for the council on a few different things. First and foremost is today was the first day that I initiated the accessibility hour prior to our meetings. And so I wanted to give the council, as well as all public members attending today, the update that we are starting this new thing in hopes of promoting accessibility, where 1 hour prior to the meeting, that we are currently in, I invite members of the public as well as council members to come in and speak to me individually to let me know what accommodations, preferences, or any other information that they want to share that can help them engage in our meeting and meaningfully participate. We did have somebody come and take advantage of that today, which was wonderful. It gives me a little bit of one-on-one time with the community, which I love. And also I think helps to make sure that I'm doing everything that I need to be doing to ensure that people know how to use Zoom, access our links, talk to each other, give the space for people to express themselves differently. So very, very much appreciate that person for coming on and talking with me today. Going forward, those will be held from 11:45 to 12:45. Today it was held from 12 to 1, but I find that I need 15 minutes to speak with my chairs and just kind of make sure I'm ready for this meeting. So going forward, we will have accessibility hours from 11:45 to 12:45. And this is, again, this is a space where people can come and talk to each other. If multiple council members come online during that time, it's in a separate meeting. And so I will have to make sure that I break people out so that we're not conducting public business within that. But the point of that meeting is fully for accessibility purposes, not for business purposes. And so please come on in and chat with me about what you need as an individual to make sure that you're be giving the space and everything else to meaningfully engage in these meetings, either as a public guest or as a voting council member or a non-voting council member. In addition to that, we do have a few changes to our website and our G Drive. We will no longer be using the G Drive as our public file storing system. Instead, we will be using the website. Lindsay, if you don't mind, I'm going to take over screen sharing abilities just for a quick second to kind of show this for everybody. Thank you. Let me just make sure I have the right tab pulled up before I start sharing this. Great. So I'm going to go in and do a brief, very quick high-level overview of how to use our new website, which looks great, and I very much thank the marketing team and all of our partners that have helped us do this. But I want to make sure that council members see this and can fully understand it. And so by all means, after today, if you have any questions as to where things are, just let me know and I can either walk through it with you or give you more information. So this is the IDEAS program website. And now we have a few clickables. If I use my mouse and scroll over to the advisory council, and click that, that'll bring us to the advisory council landing page. Here, you can apply to join the advisory council. Our form is linked there. But then if you go down further, our next meeting will come up here, which has the meeting link in it. And our prior meetings, our schedule's right here. Our prior meetings are below that. So I'm scrolling down, I'm going past accessibility and Zoom, and I'm going to meeting files. Right now we just have February. I'm working on getting January up there for everybody, so bear with me. There's some things that just got to get up there, but you'll see all these here. So if you're looking for those meeting minutes as well as any other things, they will go in these drop downs. So a little different than our G Drive. So by all means, if you're not familiar with this system, that's okay. It's new. Let me know and I'll help you walk through it so that we can make sure that you're getting access to all this old stuff if you need it. And we're also trying to make sure that we get stuff out to y'all at least 24 hours ahead of time, again, for accessibility, so that you have the materials, you can review them at your own pace, all that good stuff. When it comes to accessibility and files, please don't hesitate to reach out and just ask me. All of our files are stored in public. So even if you need to go back beyond 2024, we have them and you can reference them and I'll make sure I can get them to you even before they're up here on this new page. So I'll stop sharing there. I just wanted to make sure I had that update out to y'all and make sure that you were clear on that. On the agendas themselves, the link no longer refers to the G Drive and instead it refers you to this page that I just showed. So that's the update there.
Thank you much, Corey, and marketing team with the website redesign. Corey, if possible, I'd like to request that you repeat what you did at upcoming IDEAS meetings, just to orient us, yeah? Okay, I'm seeing your head nod and your thumbs up. Also, there's some great upcoming events that Kisley put in our chat, including Denver Fashion Week, and which is in part sponsored, or sorry, is in partnership with Guided by Humanity to share a spotlight on designers with disabilities being seen and unseen as they revolutionize and break down barriers. Last call, council updates, community happenings. Going once, twice, 3 times a lady. Oh, that's a different, my bad. All right, Lindsay, would you please scroll to our next agenda item? Back to you, Corey, for 2024 scheduling, please.
Okay, thank you, Brian. This is Corey speaking again. So before we get to our partner presentations, I want to solidify and have built out the 2024 schedule. I have gone ahead and put out the meetings happening on the final Tuesday of the month. However, last time we did speak on that, and we wanted to make sure that we got everybody's input first. I have reached out to everyone. I've given everybody notice, and so I will relay the responses that I've been given. And so far, they've all been kind of the same shared thing of everyone's okay with the final Tuesday of the month. Everyone's also okay with the first Thursday of the month. So I think at this point, either option is okay. What I would offer is for those currently in the meeting, let's make a final decision and then we can have it settled and move forward. Like I said, it is already scheduled on our website for the final Tuesday of each month going up into November, but that can be changed if we would prefer it to change. So I'll open the floor for that discussion now. Being that we've talked about this before, this is kind of a, I think people can give last thoughts and recommendations, but then we'll solidify it and then we'll go on moving forward.
Thank you, Corey. To iterate, we're scheduling for these meetings for the remainder of the year. We talked about this last month. Now we need to make a decision. We have had a chance to think about it. Is this a motion, Corey? Is this an official motion? Not necessarily. Kind of says your head nod.
No. Sorry, this is Corey speaking, everyone. I wouldn't say that this is a motion that requires a vote. I would say instead, this is a chance for final deliberation of somebody saying definitely no Tuesdays, definitely yes Tuesdays, but then other than that, just kind of saying, yep, we agree, let's go forward and go ahead with it. People are always welcome to reach out to me ahead of the time. Yes. So sorry about that, Stephanie. Stephanie just wrote in the chat, can you repeat the time for each of the options? And so a response to that question, the final Tuesday of the month is currently scheduled for 1 to 3. And that's what I recommend keeping for Tuesday. We can change that time if needed. The first Thursday of the month would happen at 10 o'clock into 12 o'clock. And that's also somewhat changeable based on how people feel. But those are the recommended times right now, the ones that I'd like to just kind of put as bugs in your ears. Then we can go off of that. Thank you for typing that out and putting it into the chat. I appreciate that.
Mrs. Bryan,
Oh,
your
sorry.
co-chair. Please go ahead, Stephanie.
My apologies. I was trying to find the raise the hand button and I spoke too soon. So hi everyone, my name is Stephanie. I'm off camera right now. I personally think that sticking with Tuesdays, 1 to 3 is more manageable. There's something around being able to move my lunch hour a little bit later than dealing with the morning rush of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and work and all of that. So I personally am hoping that we can stick with Tuesdays. I've already cleared that off on my schedule and my clients and everything. So shifting it, again, selfishly, this is all selfish. And so I'm recognizing that. So if we need to change it, I'm open to that as well. But I personally believe Tuesdays work best.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing your voice as a voting member. We appreciate that. Others? Beth in the chat, definitely Tuesdays. However, open to changes. Others?
This is Lindsay. Yeah, I would agree with everything Stephanie said. And it's not selfish either. I mean, we're asking for input, so it's just, it's your input. I agree. I think it's helpful to stick with what we have unless there was, kind of like overwhelming need or input from a majority of people. But if most of us are fine with this, then it seems easier to stick with this.
Thank you, Lindsay.
This is Michelle. Tuesdays and Thursdays are equally bad. So Brian, if you could create like an 8th day of the week for me so that I could have meetings, that's the obvious solution. But if you haven't figured out how to do that, Brian, then yeah, Tuesdays are fine.
Lovely. Thank you, Michelle. I recommend we schedule these on fun days and that we make all of the days fun days. That would be my solution. Also, I want to carry forth a voice from a month ago. One of our members who isn't here said that Thursdays would be better. This is one of our newer members, and this is somebody that is a stakeholder in the IDD community and a voting member of our council. So the voting members that have spoke so far have said a version of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're doing Tuesdays, let's keep doing Tuesdays. And then that voice of somebody that said Thursdays would work better, who is not here today.
Yeah, this is Corey speaking. To respond to that directly, I appreciate you bringing that voice in, Brian, and I think that is something that we kind of need to consider too. He did also mention that he could do either day, but Thursdays would be better for him. And so I've spoken to him individually as well, and Tuesdays do still work, just not as well as Thursdays for him, as they're a little bit more flexible. So that's something to be considered. And he's not here today, not because it's a Tuesday, but because of their own thing. Just wanted to throw that in there, that I have been having conversations with people individually offline, and if we keep it Tuesday, it wouldn't necessarily cut people off. If it ever does, as the year goes on, as things change, I'll be sure to bring this conversation up again, talk to them individually to see how I can accommodate them. If I can't, if scheduling just needs to be fixed for any of y'all, we can do that and we can have that conversation.
Lovely. Thank you, Corey. And as chair, I'm going to move us along, and my apologies that we are 10 minutes behind. We'll see how we might modify that as we go along. Corey, would you like to introduce our next presenters?
Yes. I am so sorry. I have to make sure that I give them co-host abilities so that they can share. So let me really quick do that. I can only do one thing in my brain at a time.
And Corey, while you're doing that, this is Michaela speaking.
Mhm.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to confirm for everyone, what I'm hearing from Brian and Corey was that we are going to stick with the last Tuesdays of the month from 1 to 3 p.m. Since that seemed to be the majority preference of the advisory council members that shared today. And then if that becomes prohibitive for anyone's schedule, they're invited to reach out to Corey or either of the chairs or myself, and we can revisit this conversation. Was I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You said that very much correct. I am sorry. I should have finalized that and mentioned that. I went right into the next thing.
No worries. Thanks for getting us moved along.
No worries. Okay. So yes, we have some partners today from different city agencies, and I've invited them to speak. I figured this would be a fun way to spend our time where people can learn about what is going on that might be useful for anybody and everybody in the community. And so first up, we have Allison Butler from HRCP, who is going to speak on a few of their programs, mainly Good Access is Good Business. Allison, feel free to introduce yourself more and better than I just did, but you can take it away.
Fantastic. And can you hear me? Okay, great. Let me just do this slideshow. And can we see the slideshow too?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So hello all. My
Can we
name is Alice.
request you to put it to the presenter view? That
You
just makes it
can,
a bit
if you can
larger.
tell me how I can see.
Let's see. Our pointers. I believe it's the lower right. And right now there's a gray box on the lower right-ish. And
If
then-
I may, it's the one right next to the minus sign. This is Stephanie. Yes, yes.
Did that do it?
There's a lag, so we'll give us a moment here. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, of course, but it doesn't seem to have worked. So,
If
may I offer one other suggestion? Go under from beginning up at the top in the left corner. It says right there from the beginning. Click on that.
Anything?
That's all I have for you. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Don't know why it's not doing it. Frustrating.
No worries. We'll continue as is.
Okay. Well, I apologize for that. And actually, I can't see you all now. So something is going strange with my sharing access, but I can still chat about this. But because I can't see it, if there are questions that people have, if you can come off mute or put something in the chat and somebody else can come off mute, I would greatly appreciate it. So today, my name is Allison Butler, and I'm the director of the Division of Disability Rights. We are housed in Human Rights and Community Partnerships Agency under the Mayor's office. I will tell you a little bit about who we are. This is all of us. Well, and actually we just recently lost Joan LaBelle has moved on from the city to work in the independent living world again. But this is our team in front of a mural in Denver last year. Our mission is to lead city agencies and partner with the disability community to ensure equitable and effective access to Denver's facilities, services, and programs. Our vision is to compliance and beyond. It's a very purposeful vision. Unfortunately, the city and county of Denver is not at full compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and other disability rights laws. They're trying, we're trying to help them. But what we want to get to is not only to compliance, we're not looking to get to the minimums, we're looking to go beyond that and get to full inclusion and where people feel welcome. So what we say is, if all you can do is get in the front door, but you don't feel welcome once you're inside, that's not what we're looking for. We value integrity, accessibility, creativity, accountability, and expertise. So I'm here to talk to you. We do lots of different things. We work a lot with internal city agencies to make sure they understand the disability rights laws, what they need to do. We evaluate programs, do all those kinds of things. But we've got a new program that we want to work with in the community. And that's because sometimes people with disabilities face barriers when they're out in the public. So whether that's physical barriers, like a counter being too tall or not having an appropriate ramp, or barriers that other people may face, communication barriers, somebody not taking the time with somebody who has a disability that may need extra time. We are aware that people with disabilities are facing barriers. We're also aware that there are companies that are trying to be open to people with disabilities, again, on ADA specific physical access as well as on policies. And here's some recent signs: people who have Braille and picture menus or are specifically allowing service animals. And what we want to do is help the businesses that want to know if they are compliant and disability friendly, and two, how they can get there if they're not quite there. So what we're offering in my office, as you saw, we have 8 folks here, and we've got architectural folks, and we've also got programmatic folks. And so we're kind of combining the two. And what we will do is we'll go out to a business and we will assess the physical space. So do you have ramps? Can somebody get into your door? Can somebody order? Can somebody get around your business? Can somebody use the restroom? Do we have good communication access? And that's where we get into policies. What are the policies on giving people extra time, on service animals, on other, Braille, American Sign Language, any of those kinds of things. We will help that business. We will develop a plan for them to help them become more accessible and really what we're calling disability friendly. We are not trying to say that we're doing a full ADA assessment. Those take a really long time. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to see if a place is disability friendly, if it's really usable by people with disabilities. After we develop the plan, we'll help the businesses if they have any technical assistance questions or they need other resources. And ultimately, we will give them this stamp of approval that can go in their window that will certify that they are disability friendly with our logo, Good Access is Good Business. And this star is our new promotional thing. She's called ADA for the Americans with Disabilities Act. This program is completely voluntary. We are not looking to shame or have people have negative consequences, like, oh, you're not compliant, so we're going to sue you. A lot of times public entities like the city government have run-ins with private businesses where all we're telling them is, no, you're wrong. You need to do this. This is, you're going to be in trouble if you don't do this. We really want to see this in a different way and work with businesses to say, thank you for wanting to be more disability friendly, and here's how you can do it.
Allison, this is Brian, co-chair. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm just going to interject with
Yep.
the option. If you cue me to do so, or if you do so, we might visually describe what is in one of your slides. So if you find that something is germane to describe, we can do that and increase accessibility here and now.
Sure. So the slide that's on the screen right now, and we're actually almost done with the slideshow, is a business that looks very pretty, like you'd want to go in because they have windows and flowers in the windows. And then they've got a ramp up 2 stairs, which is great, fantastic. They're thinking about doing it, and the ramp is way too steep. So many people would not be able to use that, and it definitely does not meet compliance and would not be what we consider disability friendly. We do need businesses. So we're just launching this and we need businesses who volunteer to do this. And people are scared to have their business do this because they're afraid to have the government come in and check them to see if they're doing what they need to be doing. But really, it is a voluntary program. So what I have on this slide is how you can learn more, and I can put that in the chat as well. There is a YouTube video that is fully, it has captions that can tell you more about the program. And you can, if you want to learn more, you can contact us at disabilityaccess@denvergov.org. Or if you frequent a business, maybe specifically because they're really good with people with disabilities, or on the other side, if you've had issues with a business that you think may benefit from something like this and might be open to it, let us know that as well. The last slide is a young man who's using a power chair and has a service animal. And it's just ending with, our city is better when everyone is welcome. And that again goes to the idea that this is not just about how steep is your ramp, how wide are your doors. That's great. We need that, but we also need to make sure we are really being disability friendly and that we have policies and people understand how to appropriately interact with folks with disabilities so that everybody truly feels welcome. And that's all I've got for my slideshow. So let me try to stop sharing. And now I can't even see how to do that. Here we go.
There you go.
All right, so we're coming to you to let you know, number one, that this is happening. And if you do see those decals in the window, know that we've been there and we've said that this is a disability friendly place. And if you have a business or your friend or neighbor, or like I said, you go somewhere that you think would really want to do something like this, please let us know and let them know about it. And I'll put in the chat the access to that video that I talked about. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts?
Allison, this is Michelle.
Hello.
First of all, thank you so much. Yay. Love what you guys shared that you are doing. Intent often drives content. And so I love that the intent is to, bring these businesses in with a rah-rah and a cheer, and maybe even with a carrot and not with a big stick. So I think you're going to find a lot of success with that. So that's my comment. And then I had 2 questions.
Sure. Thanks for the comment. I agree. I mean, I'm hoping that's how it works.
Right. So my question is, since there's going to be, since Ada, the sticker caricature is going to be passed out and will reside, in these businesses that have decided to be so friendly, will there be like a clearinghouse where persons can go and see a list of, businesses? So like maybe February, or let's go April, there's a list, and then there are, 6 businesses, and then, May, there are 66 businesses. And like, will there be a list so that when Corey and I are figuring where we want to go for coffee and break bread and hang out and chillax, and then we call Brian, we can go like, oh my gosh, here is a place where we can go. Or for those of us that are in the community and we might be host home providers, or we might be the brothers and sisters of the other community members, where we can say, hey, you know what? We went to place X before. What about if we go see if there's some new place we can go to? And then there's this list, and we go and there's like a list of places, and that's everyone who's got an ADA sticker.
Yes, that is the absolute goal. So we will put things on our social media as we go and assess them, and then we will keep a running list on our website.
And I'm wondering if, with that being, since that is a yes, if on the IDA sticker, could you have a QR code or a or a link also on the site that says, for more IDA places or something like that, so that it sort of perpetuates and it sort of guides people. Because if I didn't know there was a list, I wouldn't know to go look for this list. But if I'm at the establishment and I see on the sticker that I could find more places, you're going to have more, you're potentially going to have more engagement, because in order for there to be a list, I have to know there's a list in order for me to really, use it, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, and I think that's a great idea. And I will put it to our team for our next round of stickers. I'll say that we
Yeah.
used our stickers from the 2023 budget, and we have a real difficult budget right now in the city. But I think it's a great idea, and we need to try to find a way to make sure that people understand there is a list. Because you're right, who's going to go check it if they don't even know it exists?
Thank you so much. And then another sort of related question, I don't know that's in your wheelhouse, but if you or someone on the call knows where to get this information, that it's in your wheelhouse. You mentioned, you have a group, you have architecture, you have process and things like that. One of the things that community members have traditionally struggled with is that of parking, accessible parking near places. I'm wondering who, if you know, if you don't know, if you could direct who handles things like the number of accessible spaces in public places, the location of the accessible spaces in the places, who handles the enforcement of the accessible spaces in the public places, who or whom is working so that, yes, we have these wonderful places that are accessible, and I actually need to be able to get to a space to park to go to this accessible place this place is disability friendly.
Sure. So there's lots of different folks that have a hand in that. So the U.S. Access Board, as well as Denver Local Building Code, determine how many spaces need to be accessible for a business. And so when a business is saying, I want to open, when they go through what's a construction plan review, they have to show that they have those parking spaces and how many they're going to have, and they have to meet at least the minimums for accessible spaces. The folks who enforce that in Denver are right-of-way enforcement through the city, as well as police officers can enforce that. We get feedback that doesn't always happen, but that's who can do it. There's actually a bill going through the legislature this year about additional enforcement for people who are blocking accessible spaces or curb ramps or curb cuts. It hasn't made it all the way through, but so there might be additional enforcement for that. The one thing I will note is that in Denver, not every business is required to have parking. So downtown, if you're on the 16th Street Mall, there's a real good chance you don't have any parking. So that will factor into our disability friendly assessment. But if you're not required to have it and you don't have it, then that's, it's not against the law per se, and that's why we're saying this is more of a disability friendly than it is just a strict ADA assessment.
Thank you, Allison. This is Michelle. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Thank you, everyone. This is Corey Boyle speaking. Thank you so much, Allison, for that presentation. I so much appreciate it. There is one question in the chat, which I will read out loud, but if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you're going to respond to that, responding to it in the chat, and then I'll go right to Aspen from Parks and Rec so that we can get that going. It is 2:03, and so I just want to be mindful of time to get that going. So I'm going to read this out loud in case anybody can't or does not have access to the chat. The question is, thank you for sharing. You may have mentioned this with ADA, but can you speak to what incentive programs are you running? And so that would be our final question for Allison. But by all means, if we need to, if people want more information, you can always reach out to me, and I can connect folks to get that. And before we go to our next presenter, I would like to take a 5-minute break Then we'll come back and we'll get to all of our rest of our agenda items. Does that sound okay with everybody? Okay, great. So we'll take a 5-minute break, go and rest your eyes, turn off your cameras, and then we'll all reconvene at 2:09 p.m.
Thank you, Corey. 5-minute break. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Coming back in just a moment from break. We do have a nice answer in the chat from Allison. So thanks for the question and the answer there. Just to check that we have a quorum, if you are a voting member here, could you confirm your presence either visually or audibly or in the chat?
This is Beth. I'm still here.
Thank you, Beth.
This is Michelle. I'm here as well.
Michelle. And I see Lindsay, myself. All right. Corey, would you like to introduce our next presenter?
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Corey Boyle speaking again. I am going to introduce Aspen DeField. She is from Parks and Recreation, and she's going to speak on their adaptive recreation, which I will go through the slides. And so Aspen, I invite you to just let me know as you need me to go forward. Just call that out and I'll gladly move. But you can take it away.
Great, thank you. I apologize, I'm on a time crunch. I'm currently late for another meeting, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. So I am a recreational therapist with Denver Parks and Rec Adaptive Recreation. We do a variety of programming for people with disabilities and support needs through the Parks and Recreation system. And I'll just kind of touch on each of the different things that we offer. If you could go to the next slide, please. Excuse me. So what is recreational therapy? So it's kind of long, and I believe all of you were sent this in advance. So if you'd like to take the time to read it. But recreational therapy in general works to meet people with disabilities, challenges, or support needs where they are, to really make sure that they're getting the full benefits of recreation that we all enjoy in life, and finding a way for each of them to recreate safely and in a way that's meaningful and fun for them. Next slide, please. So adaptive recreation through Denver Parks and Rec was established in 1986. We offer therapeutic programming for people with disabilities at any age. We have participants as young as 6 months in our swim lessons and parent taught programs. And we have athletes on our Special Olympics teams who are in their 70s. So really across the board. Oh, sorry, can you go back? So we have 4 main pillars to our program. Our adaptive programs, which are designed specifically by recreational therapists for people with disabilities or support needs. Our transition to recreational activities in the community, or the TRAC program, which provides one-on-one support for people to safely use rec centers with their current ability levels. Our Special Olympics sports programs, and our inclusion support services. And I'll go a little deeper into all of those. Next slide. Okay, our adaptive programs, excuse me, are designed specifically by recreational therapists to be fully adaptive for a variety of needs. So on the pictures, you'll see a young woman who has created an art piece, participants doing adaptive kayaking at Sloan's Lake, a young man at a holiday dance, and a couple of gentlemen out dog sledding. So we do a variety of programs. Really, we try to do anything that anyone would choose to do for recreation in Colorado. We try to make sure that we have an adaptive version of that available for them. Here's a short list of what the activities include. And these programs, again, are designed and planned primarily for people with disabilities. Next slide. Our TRAC program is one of the more popular programs for people who don't necessarily have lifelong disabilities. So if people are recovering from an illness, an injury, surgery, different things, we get a lot of these participants from Denver Health or other community health agencies who they may have run out of their insurance sessions, or they've been discharged from PT and want to learn to work in their, or work out and exercise in their local recreation centers. So we'll send a therapist to meet them at the recreation center of their choice. They develop goals. They learn how to use the machine safely for their ability level or their new ability level in some cases, and how to adapt, as well as how to get comfortable just talking to the staff at the center, asking for help as needed. And they develop a full weight room or pool program specifically for that individual, and then train someone else to assist them if needed. So if there's the man in the picture, I believe, had a stroke, and his wife was able to come in with him and help him with things. So our therapist worked with his wife as well to show her how to do those adaptations for him. Next slide, please. Okay, our Special Olympics sports are my absolute favorite part of my job. So we offer these as the alternative to citywide or youth sports programs. Special Olympics, you may have all heard of, is operated on different state levels. So we provide coaching, facilities, equipment, everything for athletes, and then compete in the Special Olympics competitions. We offer at least 3 to 4 sports year-round in a variety of ways. Special Olympics are specifically designed for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That said, if there are people who come in with a physical disability, but they're interested in a sport, if they want to play tennis, for example, but they don't qualify for Special Olympics, we still invite them to practice with our team and get instruction from our coaches. They just don't qualify for the competitions. So if you know anyone that's ever interested in sports, but knows that they don't qualify as a Special Olympics athlete, please don't let that stop you from referring them our way. Next slide, please.
Aspen, this is Brian. May I comment on that last part that you just said?
Absolutely.
There's a beautiful growing movement that some of us in this room may have heard of called unified sports. Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. And go ahead, Beth.
No, yeah, my son's involved with Special Olympics, so I see the unified people playing all the time. It's really cool.
Yeah. So it's those with disabilities and without disabilities partnering together in sports. Well, what do you do when you're out of high school for unified sports? What Aspen just shared feels like a real obvious answer to me. So thank you for that inclusion factor. Back to you, Aspen.
I love the unified sports. We're creating advocates every opportunity we get through all of our programming. So we welcome everybody. The last piece is the inclusion support services. So you can see our 3 main things here. Every person can make a friend, every person can participate, and every person can be successful. Everybody benefits from inclusion, both the athletes and participants who need the adaptive and supportive services, as well as the other people in the programming, parents of everyone, employees, community, everyone. So the way that we do inclusion services is that we encourage anybody to register for any program they're interested in throughout Parks and Rec. So they don't just have to do the adaptive rec programming. If they want to do a ceramics class or a basketball team in their neighborhood with their friends or siblings, they can absolutely register for that. And then we have a pretty simple process. Anyone that registers for any program through Denver Parks and Rec is asked if they require inclusion services. If they click yes, we automatically get a report to our staff, and we'll reach out to them, do a quick assessment and just say, what do you need? What supports do you foresee? What challenges might you have? And then we will send one of our therapists to that program to work with that person to make it a successful opportunity for them. So everybody should be welcome and able to participate in any Denver Parks and Rec program. And we really want the parents and the participant to feel comfortable in those spaces, but also for the employees and the staff to feel empowered, trained, and supportive in offering the best services to everybody that joins their classes. Next slide, please. And just want to finish off with one of my favorite quotes. It is through play that we share our abilities, make contact with our deepest self, and unleash our potential. That's what I have for you. Again, I apologize for flying through that. It's probably better that way because I really love my job and the things that we do. So I could have talked for about 45 minutes about all of it. But if anyone has any questions, kind of quickly, I can do that. And again, I'm sorry I have to jump off, but my contact information is in the email, I believe, that Corey sent. And I'm always happy to talk about everything we do, answer questions. We're pretty well connected in the adaptive recreation community as well. So happy to refer you if you have a question that may not even refer exactly to our services. You can make that happen as well.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Again, I'm sorry I have to jump off. But I appreciate you having me. And again, reach out really anytime. Thank you all.
This is Corey speaking. Thank you so much for coming on and presenting to us, Aspen. We so appreciate it. For any council members or even any members of the public that are here, if you ever want more information on any of these or the slides or anything like that, you can reach out to me. I will gladly connect you to all the information that we give out during any of these meetings. So thanks again, Aspen. So appreciate it. Love adaptive recreation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aspen. You're getting a lot of love in the chat and verbally as well. Michael, thank you for the webpage in the chat for Denver Adaptive Recs. We are at the planning and in-person gathering. And it looks like we are past time for that. So Corey, would you like to guide us through this and slide more quickly?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. This is Corey speaking for everyone. So at this time, I think we will have time to talk about this. If we ever need more time, we can take that. However, we are in the point of our meeting that we wanted to have for public comment. And so I want to just make sure we hold space for that and to invite that. And so before we do, so basically what I'm saying is I'm going to switch up the agenda a little bit. We're going to take with what we've got in terms of our timing and work with it. So for public comment, we currently don't have any submitted written comments. If you would like to make comment, I invite people to use the raise your hand function. If you cannot do that, or it is easier for you, you can also raise your hand visually, and I'll look out for the participants and try to see who is raising their hand. Each public commenter will be allowed 3 minutes to speak uninterrupted. What this means is you get to share any and all information with us as it pertains to people in Denver with IDD, about services, about events, about whatever you think is pertinent to this council. And for those 3 minutes, none of our council members, nor myself, will interrupt you or comment on your words or anything like that. So you can feel free to give us all of that information. So I invite council members to listen intently without interruption, if that is okay. Again, you have 3 minutes. At the end of those 3 minutes, we will ask you to please stop. So I will give a warning before the 3 minutes comes up if you are still speaking. And then once 3 minutes is done, we'll ask to move on to somebody else. That way everybody is allowed. If there are no public commenters, or if we end early, that's okay. We'll motion to end public comment and then return to our other agenda items. So at this time, I will put myself on mute, and anybody looking to public comment, I ask to raise their hand using either the Zoom raise hand function or to visually do it if you are able and would so choose that way. You can also ask to speak in the chat, whatever works for you.
Thank you, Corey. This is our public comment time. As council members, we're learning to hold this space. One of the ways is not commenting on either for or opposed, but simply to listen. Up to 3 minutes. Who would like to share?
Okay, well, this is Corey speaking. I held some time there. I didn't see any hands. I was going through the videos. I was also watching the chat. And it does not seem that at this time anybody would like to make public comment, and that's quite all right. And so, Brian, what I would ask is that we motion to return to our other agenda items.
I will entertain a motion to conclude public comment space.
This is Lindsay, motion seconded.
I'll be putting forward the motion. Can I get a second? I'm a voting member.
I can second it.
All those in favor, voting members, we can put in the chat to end public comment period. Thank you, everyone, for holding space together for public comment. And now we will go back to you, Corey, on planning something in person together.
Great, thank you. This is Corey speaking again. Thanks so much. I don't have a dedicated slide for this one, Lindsay. I figured we could talk this one through face-to-face, just using the Zoom video. So at this point, we are going to plan an in-person get-together. And this is something that council members have asked for a while now. It's something that we managed to do once. It was very fun, very enjoyable. We did it at Brewability the last time, and we can always do that again. In fact, I have a date coming up in mind at that location. However, we can do any location. And so I've talked to a few folks about this, and the general thinking here is for this to be fun and eventful and a good way to increase engagement. It's not to conduct any business outside of these meetings. And so that is an important note to make. It is an in-person, for fun, get together to be out in the community, to talk to members of the public, to do the things that are enjoyable with each other and get to know each other better. And so during these little get-togethers, no work talk, no business talk. It's all just how's things going, what's fun, what's new in your life kind of stuff. With that in mind, they're also fully voluntary. And so as we plan these, as we think about dates and times to get together and places to go, don't feel pressured. If a certain day doesn't work for you, we can get another one going. I'm thinking that we can maybe try to do this quarterly at the least. If we do it more, that's fine. If that's something that people want to do, but I think that's a good minimum starting goal right now. And so for our first in-person get-togethers, I'd like to offer a few dates as a starting point. If those dates don't work, if people are really heavily against those times, then by all means, we can figure something else out. But the first one is coming up real soon. But this is an event I learned about very recently, and I thought it could be a cool way to kind of kick this off if people had the time for such a quick turnaround. On April 7th, there is going to be an autism appreciation party at Brewability. And I learned about this through Shannon Sullivan at Autism Community Store. Yeah, Brian, you might already know about this, but it sounds like a pretty fun event. It's starting at 12. I believe it goes until 4, and it's kind of in celebration of a few of Temple Grandin's movie release and a few things going on within film in appreciation of autism and all the things, all the awareness that we're bringing to it nowadays. So that could be a very fun thing for us all to get together. It is on April 7th though, which I believe is like a little bit over a week away. So that's very, very quick and very, very soon. And so an alternative date that I had thought about as offering to was also April 20th. And again, I'm just throwing these out as ways to get the brains kind of jogged and moving there. But April 20th is a Saturday. And again, we could go to Brewability, but it also might be fun to check out Dirt. I love coffee. Coffee's my jam, and Dirt Coffee could be very fun. Also more than welcome to offer any other locations or any other things that are going on in different locations, but I just figured, okay, sorry. I figured for these starting right now, sorry, I got a little thrown off there, but figured for these going right now, let's start small. Let's go to a place that maybe we know we can get to, Brewability and Dirt. And then in the future, we can think about maybe some community partners, maybe some other friends in their spaces that I could reach out to at your request to see what's going on there. So Brian is doing the great thing of putting stuff into the chat for me, which is lovely. But right now I'd like to offer in-person get-together, not business related, fully fun related, starting at either April 7th, Brewability, sometime between 12 and 4 to see the event that's going on there, or April 20th at Dirt Coffee or Brewability or anywhere else, possibly maybe around lunch as well. The April 20th is a Saturday, April 7th is a Sunday. From this, I'll let everybody kind of talk about details, hash it out. I'll take notes and I'll do my best to facilitate.
And just to get it straight, is it April 20th or 27th?
Yeah, I'm correcting that. I put the wrong date in there.
Okay.
Oh, okay, sorry. 20th is the correct date.
I personally like that, the 20th. I don't have anything that day, like randomly, so.
And as I typed that, Corey, 420. But we won't be in downtown. We won't be in downtown Metro Denver. So.
Well, I don't have anything planned. It's because I don't do anything on that day.
So for those of you that don't know, Colorado has a marijuana shindig that day annually. But that's not what we're particularly connecting with. That's just that day. And as I put in the chat, both Dirt Coffee, Highlands Ranch, I think, no, Littleton, and also Brewability Labs is in not South Denver, so probably Littleton as well, actually. South Metro. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Corey. Yeah, they have a Denver location, so maybe we have options with that, with Dirt Coffee. Any questions, or does anybody want to comment on why are we doing this? Why are we trying to do not official business and get out in person together as members of a council, but not for council business? Anybody feel strongly to say one way or the other for that? Well, you know, I don't care for fun myself. I try to turn down every opportunity. That's sarcasm. Remember SNL? Hold up the sarcasm sign.
Thank you for that, Brian.
Remember that? Sarcasm.
I'm hearing like the 20th was a good date. I'm hearing enthusiasm about coffee. Do you want to just throw it out there? Try for 20th, meet for coffee,
Yeah.
and kind of go from there. If we want to set up another hangout time after like our next meeting for early summer, you know, we can do this again too. So maybe that's just a good starting point.
Allison put the Dirt Denver location, our first business to be assessed. Oh, right on. Dirt.
Yeah, I think
Dirt
that's
put
really cool
themselves
too.
on.
And maybe that would be another fun reason to go support
Totally.
a location. So maybe throw that out there as like our kind of fun meetup, and then also appreciate the April 7th thing if anyone wants to
So we'll create a
go
password.
that as well. But
Any of us that go, we have to say, I'm here because I heard there's an ADA sticker, right? No. I'm in support of Saturday, April 20th. What would others like to say? Corey, I don't
I'm on
believe you
board.
said
Beth
time
says she's
frame.
on board. We've got, I mean, Stephanie hopped off a bit early, and so outside of that, you know, we've got Michelle to chime in, and obviously Corey will also pass on the info to Michelle's open, she says, so, and then Corey will pass the info on to anyone that's not here. So I mean, maybe we just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
We
What's a
don't
good time frame, folks?
overthink it.
1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock rock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Sorry. Everything's a song. It's how it be.
Beth, do you have any times that are preferable?
I would say the afternoon, late afternoon would be more reasonable for me, just because I'll probably get my sister to watch my son in case she works. She'll be off work then. But I'm flexible.
Michelle says I'm open.
So I just have a really quick question because I had to go off camera for a moment. So we're talking about the date of April the 20th, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So
Oh, thanks, Jordan. Dirt closes at 1.
oh,
Michaela.
yes.
I see you speaking, but I do not hear you speaking.
Yeah.
How about now?
Hey,
Yes.
hey.
Sorry,
Yes.
guys. This is Michaela. Again, is this something that we're envisioning bringing friends or family to as well, or is this just something that we're bringing our own selves to?
That is a great question.
I think it's open. 'Cause
Council? Yeah, how do you
it's just
feel?
for fun. So I think it's just whatever you feel
Mhm.
comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless anyone has any strong feelings one way or the other.
Michaela, this is Michelle. If you want to bring me a date, that would be awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely open.
All right,
Yes,
shoot me
everyone,
a
come
private
on,
message
come
with
on.
your time.
Okay, all right,
I
all
may
right.
be bringing 3-year-old Harper, my daughter.
Aw.
Maybe more of a handful than you're
I
thinking.
mean, who doesn't want a date with a toddler? Come on. Come
I
on.
mean, really.
You know? Yeah, I agree with you, Lindsay. Let you know, if you want to bring a friend, family member, bring them. If you need to just do you, just do you. Thank you, Michaela, for the question, for clarity. Well, what about with dirt only open till 1? Park Hill one. Because that later afternoon, evening was put out there. What about the dirt in Littleton? Is that one open Saturdays? Do we want to consider that?
Littleton's kind of a hike.
What'd you say, Lindsay?
Littleton's a bit of a,
But it's open later, says Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. So sooner,
7 to 5.
like at noon, maybe, at the
Or is
one
there-
at Park Hill.
Is there
Or
like
later.
another partner that we could hit up that's closer?
Access Gallery, right off of
Access or
Santa
Chief
Fe,
Gallery.
and what are they on? Maybe around 5th, 4th, if they haven't moved. I don't know if they've moved. Check out the art and then go somewhere nearby for a coffee, says Michaela. Just staying mindful of timing, Corey. I'll take a nudge from you whether we stay in this space and discuss a little further, or if we need to toggle to our next.
Yeah, no, the only other thing on our agenda is forecasting next meeting, which can be a quick conversation unless people feel strongly about adding certain agenda items or talking about the date of that. So we're good. We got time. What I'll say is at 2:55 we should have a discussion, and I should invite everybody to give me any feedback they want for that next agenda. So we have until then to hash this out and to really think about it. I love the suggestion of Access Gallery. There are a bunch of other places as well, and they don't always have to be, a place that's directly tied to us. It could just be a public venue of any kind, whether it be a different coffee shop or a brewery or a museum. Denver Art Museum could even be very cool.
I was going to say Denver Art Museum and Colorado History Museum and a few others of those have been forefront pioneers in this accessibility, inclusivity spaces. We've got a lot of great partners that way.
Yeah.
Or the Science Museum, it's the Orca exhibit.
Yeah. Did folks like the suggestion of Access Gallery though? I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to like move off of that with my suggestion.
Very
I think that's a
much.
great.
Very
Sorry,
much. Yeah.
yeah.
Really good idea.
Then I might suggest maybe if Access Gallery is open from 1 to 4, how about maybe a 2 o'clock meetup at Access Gallery with then the option to, check out the art. We go see what's going on there, and then the option to mosey on over from somewhere nearby, and I can Google Map anywhere around that for like a drinks or a food spot or something.
That sounds good.
Looks like Renegade Brewing is right next door. Michaela hangs out over there, apparently. She knows it. Or she's got it up on her Google Maps.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Cool.
Okay.
So, all right. So I'll plan that. And so what I'll do is for all the folks that aren't here, I will shoot this over to them. And so at 2 o'clock, planned Access Gallery meetup with options to go to Renegade Brewing afterwards and hang out there and have fun and get to know each other, with it being open to anyone and everyone, including Harper.
And maybe let them know too, just about the event on April 7th in case.
Yeah, I'll put that in there too, because that does sound like a fun event, and
Yeah.
that's a cool little thing. So I'll make a note to include that in my follow-up communications.
We've got Saturday, April 20th at Access Gallery, which is at 9th in Santa Fe, 909 Santa Fe, Denver, 80204. And then
Yeah.
whatever we meander to that may be nearby.
Yeah. To answer that question in the chat, Michaela, why don't we plan from like a 2 to 3 an hour to enjoy art? But if people want more time, they can stay. If people are good with looking at one picture and then going to the brewery,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
cool
it's pretty
too.
small, so
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't be there too long.
Yeah.
Corey, just a bit of planning logistics. I just tried to call them real quick to say, hey, are you in fact open that day? And I know that your hours say so, but just to, if you got anything going on, and they weren't able to answer. Would you like me to follow up and make that call and then get back to you? Okay,
I have no issue with you taking that off my plate, Brian.
sure.
I am very grateful for you offering, but you don't have to
Yeah.
be there. I don't want to put anything on
No,
your
I'm glad to. I'm an artist. I love Access Gallery. Damon has
Mhm.
been running it for years. He might still be doing it. Although he's pretty good at recruiting and delegating and getting other people
Yeah.
involved. So there's probably a few others helping to run the place.
Yeah. And now we might have a friend on that is part of Access Gallery. So we might want to check in with them too as we plan this.
Meaning a mill levy funded partner or just
An
a,
advisory council member,
oh, got it.
but I don't want to put anybody in a spot right now. I'll follow up on that part of it.
Heard.
Also, there is
Oh.
a coffee shop just down the street too, like just across the street. If folks prefer coffee over brewery, it's called The Drip, and
Oh,
it's
The
open till
Drip.
7.
I've
I've
heard of
never
them.
I've never been to either place, but those look like the closest beverage places.
Yeah.
Access Gallery also collaborates with some other places besides their address at 909 Santa Fe. I know because I've performed for them, or the dance group that I'm with.
Yeah.
The All Ability dance group that I'm with has performed for them, and they didn't do it in that address. They did it like a couple of blocks south of there. So anyway, I'll give them a call. Put the address in the chat, 909.
Great. Yeah.
Santa Fe.
And then Kisley did offer in the chat that she can also help connect. So that's a thank you, Kisley.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that, do
It
you
looks
connect
like-
with, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Brian. I was just gonna say it looks like there's a preference for coffee over brewery. And then Molly Mason says Tonatsen. Am I pronouncing that correct, Molly? Casa de Cafe is a good coffee shop nearby. Is that one, Molly, is that open late? I saw they closed at 3 today. Yeah,
I'm
it
not-
looks like they closed at 3.
Okay, that's a great location for meeting space, by the way, that coffee shop. Right across the street.
Tonenson?
Yeah, right across the street from Access Gallery.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, we'll have to visit that again. Should we do Drip then? Are folks okay with Drip if that one is closed?
I'm sorry, I've heard around the street on Santa Fe that Drip Coffee has been not friendly towards the LGBTQ plus
Oh,
the community.
thanks.
I can't substantiate that. I know it's a recorded meeting. I just want to, I've seen things like at Renegade as well that Drip is not. So I'm not exactly sure, but Townsend and Coffee though, they are great and they're in that same space, and Access Gallery is creating a maker space right in that area too. So
Thanks so much for that info, Molly. I just had Google open, so that was all the info I had. Maybe Corey, you and I can look at some other coffee shops nearby that are open where we need to be and that are accessible and inclusive and send that out.
Yeah, we can do a little research, a little bit of digging. And maybe, I guess I'll invite this, not to throw a wrench into it, but maybe instead of meeting up at 2, if we know that this other coffee shop that seems like a great spot closes at 3, maybe we meet up at 1, go from 1 to 2 and head over there.
Good idea.
Are people cool with just shifting up an hour earlier? Yeah. All right, let's just do that. That's easy, right? So let's plan for 1 to 2 at Access Gallery then, with plans for tentative plans for after party at a coffee shop nearby. Since that is the vote, I appreciate that vote because I also prefer coffee. But That's also something that we can always finagle while we're there too. If people are like, I could really use a beer today. I'm okay with things changing, but let's start with that now. I'll make sure to send this information to those who aren't here and get their input. And so do just keep a lookout just in case there's anything there. But I think right now, plan for April 20th at 1 in Access Gallery.
Do we want to start at the coffee shop?
That's also a great
And then we
idea.
can just then go to Access, and then if anybody wants to grab a beer after, then
That's yeah. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but yeah, that's a great offering. Any input on that of starting at the coffee shop, then consuming some art?
Sure.
Great. All right, that'll do it.
I'll do it.
I'll just keep it at that 1 o'clock time then. So we'll meet at the coffee shop at 1 o'clock and then head over to Access Gallery.
all right, sounds good.
Great.
As long as we are consuming something, Michelle.
Yeah. Perfect. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. That'll be fun, and this is a fun event and everything. What I want to offer Jordan Humphrey's voice a little bit of just ensuring that too, as we schedule fun events, we are also including outreach events and being specific and community minded with going out, letting our community know about who we are, about recruiting and stuff. And I do have plans for that. I'm working on that and getting into different spaces, but I invite people to help me with that. And so we'll have more conversations about that as we go forward. But I wanted to make sure that that part of this discussion wasn't just kind of left. So it's Tonantzin, Beth, to answer your question in the chat. Sorry to switch conversations here, but which coffee shop is Tonantzin?
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly, for that offering.
So Corey, we'll follow your lead, and Jordan will be right at your the cuffs of your collars to guide your hands about how is it this is fun. This is not official business, and yet we're recruiting. I don't know how that happens, but we'll follow your lead, whatever whatever Jordan tells you to do, and then you show us what to do and what not to do.
Yes. We'll work that out. I won't get
All
too
right.
much into that when we have only 8 minutes left in the meeting. So I just wanted to vocalize it for now. It'll be a further conversation as we go. But yes, so yeah. So just to follow up, fun meeting, which means getting together, getting to know each other, getting to see what our community is all about. Starting at Tonantzin Coffee Shop. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so sorry if I am not. But then moving over to Access Gallery. I will follow up by email. If anybody would like follow up by text, I offer that, and that will be included in my emails, also on the website going forward. If anybody prefers to receive documentations or communications in a different way for accessibility purposes, my phone number, my work cell phone number, is now available to be contacted at any time, and I can also push things out through that at any time. So I just want to put that out there. I know that there are members of the public who are listening to this right now and maybe want to kind of join up with us, and that's totally welcome and invited. So if email's not your way of getting this info, just let me know. I'll gladly communicate how you would prefer to make sure that you're not left out of the loop on any of this follow-up. Anybody have any questions before we move off of that conversation?
Yes, Corey, this is Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Corey, could you please, whenever you do send it out, could you do a little bit of a lift? And would you please make it a calendar invite so that we can click and add it to a calendar, please, sir?
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Michelle.
Yeah, this is Corey. The answer to that is yes. I am making a note on it to ensure that I do that. Great.
And then Corey, at a future ideas meeting, we'll talk about another date. So for those who maybe you know now you cannot come, or maybe you plan to come, but then the cat pukes that morning and you know, whatever, you can't make it. We're gonna do another one, okay?
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Great. Well, it sounds like that discussion has been had. I will follow up. And why don't we, just in light of the conversation about scheduling and stuff, why don't we talk about next meeting? Next meeting will occur in April, on the final Tuesday of April, thanks to our earlier scheduling discussion. So that will be April 30th. Accessibility hour for that one will be occurring at 11:45 to 12:45. Is there anything that you want to make sure is included for that agenda for any of our council members here or anybody else as I plan for that meeting?
What is that meeting looking like currently? Are there any presenters or anything?
Great question. I guess I probably should have led with that. I am sorry. Let me give me 1 second to pull up my document. April. I think I'd have to get with you, Michaela, about if there are any presenters. There is a possible presenter, but I don't have that confirmed as of yet. And I don't want to, so I don't want to guarantee that anybody will be there right now when possibly they can't. So as a more concrete answer to your question there, Lindsay, I think right now expect that there will be room at least for 30 minutes of somebody to present on something. That may change as to who it might be, also might change. And so again, like I said, I don't want to say, yep, this person's going to be there or this group's going to be there or whatever, and then have that not be the case. So Michaela and I will talk about that. But yes.
I think it sounds like, oh, sorry, this is Michaela speaking. It sounds like Corey, we're kind of open to suggestions or requests for topics to hold space for conversation on, or if you want information about something, there's room for that too.
Yes. And if there's not, that's okay. A warning, once Michelle jumps off, this meeting will end because we will no longer have a quorum.
Well, with that
We
in
still have
mind,
3. We've got myself, Brian, and Beth.
I'm sorry. I thought Beth had left, but no, that was Stephanie that left. My bad. So we will still have a quorum. So we're good, actually. Thanks for correcting me.
thank you, Lindsay.
Maybe if folks do have requests or things they'd like to hear about or questions they have, information that you'd like to share with us, you could email Corey in the next couple weeks.
I think that's a good plan. It sounds like there's nothing popping out immediately, so.
One thing comes to
Reach
mind,
out to
Corey, is
Corey.
if we could hear a follow-up from Allison, who's not in our room together, but they have that first, you know, Dirt Coffee, that first person, and just a brief, if she could email something and say, here's the outcome. I don't know that the outcome happens within a month, but maybe it does with that assessment and whatever. I'd love to hear for maybe 1 minute, 30 seconds to 1 minute at the next meeting about how that went. Pass.
Great. Yeah, I can do that. Thank you. Yeah, so the purpose of the forecasting is to give y'all a space to make sure that as I construct agendas, I am considering purposefully and with intent things that you want to bring to that agenda. Sometimes when things are said during different conversations, as much as I listen to it 4 times in a row as I do my meeting minutes, I miss it. And so that's just the purpose of this time of the agenda, is to give each council member space, and you too, Kisley, non-voting members as well, time to be like, hey, for next time, can you just follow up on this? Can you talk about that? Whatever, so that I'm not forgetting, which I often do. So, and if there's nothing, then that's great. We'll see y'all in April on the 30th, and
Let me do this official thing.
Sure.
Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting of the IDDEAS?
This is Michelle. This is Michelle. I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, and can I get somebody to sing that they second that emotion?
And I can second that. Brian, you
I tried to slip that in there. All right, so we'll put our votes in the chat here. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Michelle. Adjourn. All right, now, Corey, you were saying you can turn the recording off.
Thank you all so much. I'm turning off the